Have you ever wondered why the most powerful being in Middle-earth was never tempted by the One Ring? While Gandalf feared even to touch it, and Galadriel rejected its offer with tears in her eyes, Tom Bombadil slipped it on, laughed, and simply disappeared. But not in the way you think. Remember that feeling when you first discovered Gandalf was a Maya, or when you realized the Ents were older than the very trees themselves? Today, you're going to have that same revelation about Tolkien's most enigmatic character, and it will forever change the way you see the Lord of the Rings. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal the secret Tolkien hid about Tom Bombadil, a secret that explains not only his immunity to the ring, but also why he could never have been the solution to defeating Sauron. We'll compare 3 direct pieces of evidence from the books that the movies deliberately left out, and I'll show you why that omission was actually genius. In Tolkien's letters, specifically letter 144, the author himself reveals something astonishing. Tom Bombadil is not an important person to the narrative. He represents something I wanted to include, the pure spirit of the Oxford countryside, something completely unconcerned with power. But here's the crucial detail everyone overlooks. In Tom's house, when Frodo puts on the ring, and it doesn't make him disappear to Tom, Tolkien writes that Tom sees all things under the sun and under the moon. It's not that the ring doesn't work, it's that Tom exists in a dimension of perception where invisibility is irrelevant. In the appendix on the Rings of Power, there's an almost forgotten passage. There were those in Middle-earth who were not touched by the music of the Ainur, for they existed before it. Tom Bombadil predates the very creation of Arda. He is not part of Ilúvatar's plan. He is a remnant of what existed before. Peter Jackson was criticized for cutting Tom Bombadil from the films, but now we understand why. A character who exists outside the main narrative simply wouldn't work on screen. But there's something subtler. Jackson redistributed Tom's qualities among other characters. His deep bond with nature, given to the Ents, his ancestral wisdom, amplified in Elrond, his resistance to the power of the rings, sublimated into Aragorn's and Sam's willpower. Jackson didn't erase Tom. He dissolved him into the essence of other characters, preserving his thematic meaning. Even in Amazon's series, we see echoes of that same decision. Characters who embody primordial aspects of nature, but integrated into the central narrative. It's as if Tom Bombadil was simply too powerful an idea to exist as a single character in visual storytelling. Here's the secret that changes everything. Tom Bombadil cannot be corrupted by the ring because he desires nothing the ring can offer. But that also means he cannot destroy it. Tolkien revealed in his letters that Tom would eventually forget the ring and lose it. The mechanics are simple yet profound. The One Ring corrupts through desire, the desire for power, protection, control. Tom has none of these desires because he exists in complete harmony with what he is. He doesn't want to change anything, doesn't want to protect anything beyond his little land, doesn't want to control anyone. This creates a fatal paradox. The only person who could carry the ring without being corrupted is also the only one who would never care enough to complete the mission. It's the perfect strategic flaw, a solution that is no solution at all. There is a disturbance in the music. Something that should not exist still remains. Tom Bombadil. I felt it when my ring was in his hands, and it was nothing. No desire, no fear, no ambition. As if the ring were nothing more than a golden trinket. This unsettles me more than all the armies of Gondor. I can understand Saruman's ambition, Gandalf's wisdom, even the desperate resolve of hobbits. But Tom, he is a void in my comprehension of Middle-earth. If I cannot corrupt him, I also cannot predict him. Perhaps it is better that he stays in his land singing to his trees, for an enemy who seeks no victory is the most dangerous of all. He cannot be defeated because he was never truly fighting. Of course, there is another fascinating alternative theory. Some Tolkien scholars suggest Tom Bombadil is actually Eru Ilúvatar himself, the very god of Middle-earth, wandering his creation in disguise. The evidence? His ability to see through all illusions, and his existence prior to the music of creation. But this theory has obvious limits. If Tom were Eru, why would he allow so much suffering? Why would he not intervene directly against Sauron? The more likely answer is that Tom represents something subtler, the aspect of creation that exists beyond good and evil, a reminder that not everything in Middle-earth revolves around the struggle between light and shadow. And here is where Tolkien's genius fully shines. Tom Bombadil is not just a strange character, he is a message about freedom. In a world where even the wisest are tempted by power, where the very land groans under the weight of war, there is someone who chose simply to be. Tom reminds us that true victory is not in defeating evil, but in finding a way to exist beyond the endless battle between good and evil. He represents the possibility of a life not defined by conflict, power, or ambition, but by the pure joy of simply existing. That is profoundly human and profoundly hopeful. In a world obsessed with conquest and power, Tom Bombadil stands as proof that happiness can be found in simplicity, in connection with nature, and in the refusal to play the power games that consume everyone else. At the end of the day, Tom Bombadil is the only character in The Lord of the Rings with Middle-earth's Wi-Fi working perfectly. He just chooses not to log into the social networks of power. And maybe, just maybe, Legolas always knew this when he said that his words were like music, because music, unlike words, needs no translation to be understood. If this revelation about Tom changed the way you see The Lord of the Rings, drop a comment and tell me which character you'd like me to decode next. And don't forget to subscribe, because next week we're uncovering why Galadriel really refused the One Ring. And it's not for the reason you think. Because in Tolkien's universe, the deepest truths are always hidden between the lines, just waiting to be discovered.